Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Creative Economy, the Honorable Governor William Kabogo, the Principal Secretary for Social Protection, my friend Joseph Mutari, Irene Barry-Kirika, the founder and CEO of Enable Africa, Dr. Laibuta Imana Kibaya, who is a Court of Appeal judge, the first with disability, visually impaired, to be a judge of the Court of Appeal. The MasterCard Foundation, led by Partnerships Director, Dina, all protocols observed. Good morning. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you here today as someone who clearly understands the reason as to why we need to do more to ensure inclusion is a reality in Africa and beyond. I'm excited that Kenya is a leader when it comes to inclusive practices, having hosted the first Global Disability Summit in 2018 at Here East in London, together with the UK government. And recently, Kenya took commitment, led by PS Mutari, to work hard to ensure that we have digital inclusion for all in Africa and beyond. Let's clap for ourselves for that. This country has been seen as a good model for inclusion because we have persons with disabilities in various sectors of our economy. If you look at Parliament, we have representation. If you look at the judiciary, you have representation. And we look at the executive, we have representation, starting with yours truly, the first person with disability to become the government spokesman of the Republic of Kenya. This inclusion is buttressed by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which mentions person with disability 18 times. In fact and indeed, that became a panacea for our inclusion. Just recently, His Excellency President William Ruto assented to the Persons with Disabilities Bill, now an Act 2025, that, among other things, ensures that the international customary law, specifically the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, is now domesticated as a municipal law. Further, the Act provides for digital inclusion and ensuring that persons with disabilities participate on an equal basis with others to exercise their rights with regards to such endeavors as elections, where for the first time, persons with disabilities have a right to get a secret ballot to choose who is going to be their leader. Now, when I look at the cover of our program today, I see a person with vitiligo. And you know, vitiligo and albinism are closely related because they are in the category of hyperpigmentation. And that reminds me of my own journey when I joined politics. And I was a member of a particular political party, and I could see people were fearing shaking my hand because they thought that if I greet them, they will also become a person with albinism. In fact, I could see them secretly wiping off their hand as if it is contagious. I know that is the challenge of those with vitiligo, but not just those with vitiligo. That feeling of those with disabilities that they are unwanted, that they are not good enough, is something that we must continuously challenge so that we overcome the greatest barrier of disability, which is attitude that is resident in the minds of many people. And that is why I believe that when we talk about enable, inclusion, we cannot move forward if we do not also occupy the digital space. This conference is timely because it is giving us an impetus to also make our experiences count when it comes to matters artificial intelligence. It has made things easy because even when I'm speaking here, if you don't have a sign language interpreter, already you can see the subtitles word for word. When we were at the briefing room, my friend Julius was telling us about the Transcribe Live app that is helping many deaf people to be more independent and to reduce the intermediation indeed the interlocution that may come with the help of a Kenya Sign Language interpreter to live more independently and express themselves. That is a future that we must all pursue. And so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are assembled here today to look into pathways that we are going to use to ensure that whatever we are speaking become a reality. It starts with demonstration of the capability of what we are able to do. My friend Bura here, Julius, is a very good car reviewer, yet he's visually impaired. When I look at my friend Ashura, now working for the UN as the first deaf woman to be employed in the UN, it tells us that the horizon is just the beginning. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, and if we are left behind, it means that then we will be lagging. But when we take the advantage of AI, which no country really has leverage, when we take advantage of the AI, which is a summation of the human experience, then we will be able to leapfrog ourselves out of marginalization and far into the future. I am very encouraged to see my brother, who's just spoken here as a face of Africa, that he is a content creator. Indeed, the challenge of our day-to-day work in my office is to create content that is consumable to many our audience away from the traditional. So I would want to work with you in a program that we are establishing called Inclusive Communication and Development, so that we develop guidelines that will ensure the whole of government has persons with disabilities at the center of their inclusive journey and mandate. It is also true that we had made progress forward when we had the persons disability mainstreaming indicator in the performance contract. I am happy to report to you that His Excellency President William Ruto has ordered that that indicator be taken back into the performance contract, so that we can have as many persons with disabilities employed, so that we can have environments modified for accessibility, so that we can have persons with disability enjoy their dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedom. It is also a pursuit that I'm working with under the head of public service to ensure that we have a communication indicator that will also ensure that there is a sub-indicator of inclusive communication, so that all government communication can be disability-friendly and inclusive. Join me in that journey so that we make sure that persons with disabilities get to know when jobs are advertised, when tenders are put in websites, and when they just need to know information, because information is power, and power is knowledge. I want to say that when we are congregated here today, we are better than one. That each and every person's experience adds to the whole. We need to ask ourselves the fundamental question. As we embrace technology, does that same technology cause further disability? That is a question we need to answer. Because every time I use my smartphone, I tend to imagine I'm becoming more and more blind. How do we mitigate that? How do we make sure that what is enabling us does not cause further impairment? And I know from the list of speakers and very good program here, Irene, that you have, we have people who are in the front line of ensuring that that is really taken care of. The other thing that also we must consider as we talk about digitization and inclusive communication, I even see there's a session about inclusive climate communication, and my office will participate robustly on that, and also how to come up with standards for Africa. Two things come in mind. Number one, how do we make sure that the cyberspace does not use disability to bully and to silence those with various forms of impairment? Because you'll agree with me, the more we get into that space and the facelessness that come with it, the more we have aggressors and bullies who want to pin us down on the basis of disability. I have been a victim myself. In fact, wanasemanga wewe tumekuachia jua. Na mimi wakisema waniachia jua, nawaambia niko na kofia, niko na mewani, na niko na sunscreen. Na ikiwaka sana nitaweka mwavuli. We must confront stereotypes and prejudices that may be codified in the AI intelligence knowledge so that they do not become perpetuated. I must commend Elon Musk, because they have started something called Grok that is very useful nowadays in dealing with the challenge of misinformation and disinformation. I would want to encourage the Meta Group, I know the Vice President of Facebook may be here, that you look at that so that we do away with this issue of bullying and cyber attacks that may be affecting persons with disabilities in silence. The other thing that I also want to address is the fact that for the first time in a long time, we are having a leadership of CS William Kabogo in coming up with a communication policy and strategy for the government. Now, there is a technical working committee led by Professor Machuki that is receiving memoranda from the public to ensure that there is effective public participation. I urge upon us, led by Enable and other actors, that we take advantage of that and make sure that our communication is inclusive as per the provision of the policy. So, ladies and gentlemen, mine is not to speak much, to welcome you here to Kenya. Enjoy yourself, feel nyumbani, and be inclusive as possible, because we are one. Because Africa is not going to be changed by elections. Africa is not going to be changed by rhetoric. Africa is going to be changed by small people doing their part of change in places that may not be recognized. But those parts of change will one day light up in a moment of ubiquitous transformation. I thank you.